This is a story for those who can see the pain on someone's face before a word is even spoken. Who stop for a stranger when the whole world walks past. Who believe that even the smallest act of kindness is a form of prayer. And for those whose lives were changed because once, just once, someone listened, someone stopped. A car pulling over, a ride offered, just a brief encounter, but the impact lasted a lifetime. This is the story of a man who thought he was just giving someone a lift. But that stranger didn't just accept the ride. She left behind something much greater. A feeling that would never fade. It was a gray Thursday afternoon in late October. The kind of day where the sky hangs low and the wind carries a chill that creeps through your jacket seams. Ethan Monroe, a 34-year-old software engineer from Chicago, tapped his fingers restlessly on the steering wheel, trying to make peace with the traffic that had come to a crawl on Roosevelt Avenue. Rain misted over his windshield, making the city look blurred, like a watercolor painting bleeding at the edges. He wasn't supposed to be on this road. A meeting had been canceled last minute, and for some reason, he had taken a different route home. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the GPS glitching. Or maybe it was fate. As he approached the underpass near Lakeview Park, he noticed a figure walking alone on the sidewalk, hunched under a worn-out hoodie, dragging a heavy duffel bag. She didn't look homeless, but she didn't look okay either. Something in her body language screamed silence. Not pain exactly, but emptiness. Ethan wasn't the kind of guy who stopped for strangers, especially not in the city. He had seen enough crime documentaries to know better. But something made him slow down. Maybe it was the way she paused, looked at the sky, then looked at her shoes, like she was asking the heavens how much longer she could keep going. He pulled over. The girl looked up, startled. She looked young, probably in her early 20s. Pale skin, deep brown eyes that looked older than she was, and dark hair plastered to her cheeks from the light rain. "You need a ride?" Ethan asked, rolling down the window. She hesitated. "I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just need to get to Grand Station." "It's 10 minutes from here." "Hop in. I'm heading that way." She stood still for a second, unsure. Then slowly she got in, placing her soaked bag between her feet. "Thank you," she whispered. "No problem." "I'm Ethan." She nodded, but didn't respond. He glanced over. Her hands were trembling. "You okay?" "Yeah, just cold," she said. But it wasn't just cold, it was something deeper. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Then, just as they passed 5th Street, she spoke. "My name's Ava." "Nice to meet you." "Ava." She looked out the window, almost like she was fighting the urge to cry. Ethan didn't press. But something about her silence felt heavier than the rain. "I'm not running away," she suddenly said. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Didn't think you were. I just left something behind. I had to." He gave a soft nod. "Sometimes leaving is surviving." That line, it hit her. She closed her eyes. "My mom used to say that." For the rest of the ride, they said very little, but the quiet had changed. It wasn't awkward. It was understanding. The kind of silence that holds more meaning than words ever could. At Grand Station, Ava thanked him again. As she stepped out, she turned back and said, "You may never know what this meant, but thank you for seeing me." Ethan didn't think much of it. Just a kind gesture, a lift on a rainy day. But Ava's story didn't end at that corner, and neither did his. Ethan's life hadn't changed much, At least not on the outside. Same job, same condo, same quiet Friday nights. But something had shifted in him after that rainy October day. He found himself looking more closely at people. He paid attention to silences, to pauses, to eyes. He began volunteering at shelters on weekends. He started listening more than speaking. Something in Ava's eyes had haunted him. Something unfinished. He never saw her again. Until one cold December morning, when he entered his favorite downtown cafe and saw a poster on the community board. Hopian Harbor Shelter for Women. Volunteer training, led by Ava Sinclair. His heart paused. He stared at the name. He remembered. That evening, he drove to the shelter. It was modest, just a 2-floor building with a hand-painted sign. Inside, there were women of all ages, some laughing, some quiet, all safe. And there she was, Ava. She had changed. Brighter, more grounded. But the same eyes, just lighter now. Healing. He didn't approach her that day. He watched from a distance. But she saw him. Their eyes met. And that was enough. The next weekend, he returned, not as a stranger, but as a volunteer. After a late shift organizing supplies, she came to sit beside him in the hallway. "You remember me?" she asked. "Of course." "You know, that day you gave me a ride, I had nowhere to go. I was going to sleep at the station. I had just left a man who had been hurting me for 2 years. I had no money, no phone, nothing but that bag." Ethan's chest tightened. "I sat in that car and felt human for the first time in months." He said nothing. He couldn't. "You didn't save me, but you reminded me I was worth saving." That night, they sat there for a long time. No plans, no promises, just the warmth of a moment that had come full circle. In the months that followed, Ethan and Ava became friends. Then family, not by blood, but by bond. She called him the first time she spoke at a school. He called her when his father passed. They built a small library at the shelter together. They began hosting Kindness Nights, where people shared their stories over warm food and firelight. Years later, during one such night, Ava shared her story about a rainy day, about a stranger who stopped, about a ride that wasn't just transportation, but transformation. And as the room fell silent, Ava turned to Ethan and smiled. "You didn't just give me a lift, you gave me back my road." A friend's, sometimes a small act of kindness, can change a life forever. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Your one click could become a ray of hope for someone else. Every week, we bring you stories that reflect the light of humanity. Kindness talks, because kindness is never wasted.